everyone, good morning, and today, welcome to today's session. Today we have Arghya with us. Arghya is doing his masters from IIT Roorkee. So Arghya, welcome and thank you for taking out the time.
Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me here. How are you, ma'am?
I am absolutely fine, thank you. So you've completed one term at IIT Roorkee, I believe.
Yes, we are done with our first semesters here, and now currently I'm in my winter vacation.
Right. So how was the first semester? Okay, tell us your background first, so the students know where you're coming from.
So yeah, I have done my BA in Economics Honors from Jadavpur University, Calcutta,
Okay.
and now I'm here for my master's degree, MSc in Economics.
Mm.
So I would like to say that in my bachelor's degree only, I had this kind of sort of a roadmap where I want to be. So I was very sure that I was not going for PhD later. So I was thinking of a different kind of course which would provide me an exposure to, other sorts of courses also like finance and all of that,
Okay.
keeping in mind that there were no options for MSc in finance or something like that. I had to in India particularly.
Yeah.
I had to go for MSc in economics, and I was kind of searching for a course which would provide me and that kind of exposure and the environment to be in. So uh, I was checking and researching about the institutes, and I saw that there is IIT is are also providing this MSc Economics course.
Yeah.
So and also I had to prepare for the JAMs and GATE.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was like I got kind of required some kind of coaching. So I searched research about it then. So I joined EduSure, and it was a great experience right there because I was kind of my mathematics part was really weak, and that EduSure helped me a lot.
Thank you so much. So so your basic aim was finance. That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so that time so did you kind of aim target for IIT, or was it just like, you happened to get in, so you chose amongst the whatever options you had?
My first priority was to crack IIT because over DAC or ISI also,
Okay.
because DAC is great institute, but it's kind of more of economics only,
Yeah.
and I wanted to get into somewhere where I can get the exposure of other subjects also, like some kind of programmings and all that would
Right.
help me a lot
Yeah.
in the job market and all.
Yes. Yeah,
So it
that
was
is, I
my
think,
first priority.
that IITs have a lot of options for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
All,
true.
all right. So, take us through a little bit about how was your first semester? Like, what kind of, since we're talking about this, that what kind of courses were you given in the first semester? And a lot of people want to know how tough is the maths at IIT. So, if you can answer that also.
Yeah, when we first got here for it's different to be here. Like it's really different. The atmosphere, the environment right here is great, and it took some time to adapt this, but it was a great experience. And to be honest, I really like this. Like in our first semester, so we had six subjects like starting with micro one, macro one, basic econometrics, development. There is mathematical economics, and one subjects we can choose. We had an option to choose from other departments. So I personally I had chosen marketing from a department of management studies, and there were other options too for the students, depending like they could choose
You got
whatever.
marketing.
Yeah, I got marketing.
Oh wow,
So
that's really nice. I mean, that's like a flavor of you
yeah,
exploration that you want
yeah,
to maybe be an entrepreneur sometime, so you get
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
kind of
definitely.
an
Yeah,
exposure. That's great.
yeah,
That's so nice to
it's,
know that
yeah.
interdisciplinary thing that we keep talking about. You actually got so that was one subject, and the other were economics related subjects, and
There
then
were other subjects too, like students have chosen energy economics, which is offered by chemical engineering departments and all of that. So
oh.
it's great. to be here,
So this is one course, like one subject, you could choose from other departments. And do you also know how does that happen in other semesters? Like, does it stay one subject, or does that kind of change the course
uh,
that you can take from other departments?
Yeah, coming to that, but before talking about the first semester only, we
Okay.
had like for example in micro and macro, all the things stuffs of the undergraduate stuffs were covered, and also and like talking about econometrics also here, it is kind of more programming based kind of thing, not purely theoretical. For example, our in our exams also we were asked about the outputs, like to analyze the outputs of our programmings and status and all of that. So
Okay.
that was the scene.
What softwares did you guys use?
For our first semester in econometrics, we got to use R and Stata only.
R and State. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, so coming to the second semesters, if I say we have like financial economics, and there is microeconomics, macroeconomics, public policy theory and practice. There is one thing called program elective. Students can choose any subjects they like, but also it depends like what are the availability of those courses. Like not all the courses are available.
Yeah.
There is a seminar kind of thing that we need to prepare some kind of dissertation and to present.
Okay.
And there is also one thing called science and technology that we got to choose from other departments, like anything, like depending upon the on someone's interest. For example, C++, Python, AIML, and all of that stuffs.
So that is something that you can choose.
Yeah.
That's like an option, and you can choose some anything to do within, let's say, science and technology.
For our first semester, we got to choose depending upon our interest. But the second semester thing is we got to select all the subjects, and we have to order according to our preference. And according to our CGPA of our first semester, we will be given
The choice.
the choice. Yeah.
Okay. So just wanted to know before I jump on to the second semester, in your first semester, the kind of whatever was taught for a student like you who's from eco background, is it
Yeah.
something that we all have already done? So it's not that tough? Like, does it, or is it something, like you said, it's kind of, is it like kind of revision of whatever we have studied in our undergrad and, for the master's preparation, or is it new material?
It's like a revision. Like
It's like
if I
revision. Okay.
talk about macroeconomics,
Yeah.
it had covered all the three what we have studied in the 3 years of bachelor's degree,
Acha.
all the topics.
Acha. So it's like a revision run through of what you
Yeah,
do
the
in your
first semester
undergrad.
is kind of revision because there are students from mathematics and other backgrounds
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So for eco background students, it must not be that hard. Like
That
it's something
hard.
you're done. What about students from other backgrounds like maths and science? But they have also prepared for the entrance. So
Yeah,
they also have a fair bit of idea about the
yeah,
material.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like as because they had prepared for the
Yeah.
entrance, it was hard, kind of, but they could not do well also.
Hard in terms of are the questions a little hard, like application based, or um
Hard in terms of the syllabus is very
lengthy?
diverse and all because there are 6 subjects you need to study
Hmm.
and the time is really less.
Hmm. So in one semester, you got to do a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. Like in November only we were done with our first semester,
Okay. And you
so we had
started
less time.
by around what time?
It was like August 22nd, kind of.
August 22nd. Okay. So between
Yeah.
August to November, that's a short semester.
Yup, yup.
Yeah, that's a short semester. So you got about only 4 months. And
I think July 22nd or August 22nd. I'm confusing a bit.
okay, okay. But not
Yeah,
more than like 4.5 months still.
yeah, yeah,
It's quite a short semester to pack in like 6 subjects and covering a lot of syllabus, and so
yeah,
it's a lot in terms of that. Okay.
yeah. Like the level is not that very high, but the syllabus is quite
A lot of syllabus
diverse.
to do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, understood. Okay, so now going on to other semesters, you like you said there are other courses that you are doing like financial economics, like what you wanted to study, and you will be doing the science and technology, and also all of this is very unique to IIT.
Yeah,
This is not something that perhaps somebody in other colleges is going to get an opportunity. That
yeah,
you are only going to get if you are based in something like IIT, and they have a program which is like this, where they're encouraging you to explore diverse range of
yes,
options and not
yes,
just stick to the
yes,
course that they have enrolled you for.
right.
So that's quite unique about IIT. All right, so I also want you to go over a little bit about your preparations, if you remember, since
Yeah,
you are someone who did take IIT to be one of your priorities.
yes,
So if you remember, it's been a while now, but if you remember, so people keep asking me now that what should be prioritized right now? So the IIT exam this year is in February. It's on the 2nd of February, I think, the JAM exam. So for IIT Roorkee, it's only the JAM exam that matters.
yeah, yeah.
So in general, but like people keep asking me that which exam, like what past year paper should be focused on, like what makes the most sense for IIT. So IIT is kind of diverse because you sometimes get a kind of good questions in mathematics.
Yeah,
You also have,
yeah.
a bit of Indian economy and some easy questions that comes in economics. So if you kind of remember that, how do you balance things so that you can, do both sides, do the tough bit of maths and do kind of like the easier bit in economics that comes.
So, to be honest, like it takes time to prepare for the IT GATE and JAM. Like you need not only to prepare, you need to practice a lot. Like,
Mm.
I had practice from my second semester to be precise, and
Oh.
especially from for mathematics and statistics. Like
Hmm.
its jam is purely focused on more like mathematics stats, and there is micro macro Indian economy and
Yeah.
a lot of stuffs, so students need to prepare for a lot.
Hmm.
And past papers, to be honest, are really helpful. Like now it's like December, students should be starting off with the past papers. They should like ma'am and like you and sir used to say that we should practice past papers, I think a paper 4 times, something like that. So I did that personally, and that helped a lot. Not only the IIT as past papers, but ISI past papers and past papers of DAC too. DAC
Yeah.
papers are really nice and
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. That is something that has got lost in the recent years because of the
Yeah,
DSE exam not being happening separately. People are
yeah.
not doing the DSE paper so much, but they are
But
also
the
doing good.
questions, yeah.
Yeah.
But the questions will be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you also believe in that they should start with the papers now, like full length papers, they should
Yeah. They
start
should, they
solving.
should, they should start solving for now. Like I know that it's like it was for me too that I was not able to solve the whole paper, but
Hmm.
you should try to solve for now.
Yeah. So what I was telling the students was that why don't you just start solving a paper in the morning and then use your evenings to kind of
Yeah.
correct your
That's a good idea. Yeah,
mistakes. Yeah.
yeah, right.
So because you
And I
can't
used
just.
to, I used to be active in like classes. Like I had a busy schedule for college because it took me 4 hours to commute every day for my college. And like I used to get out of my home at 9 a.m. in the morning and back at like 6 or 7. And so that was it was in my mind that I have to be uh, I have to cover like a lot every day. So I used to attend classes each and every day so that there is no backlog and all.
But you
So
had 4 hours of commute every day.
yeah, two
So four
hours, two
hours
hours,
just spent in travel.
just traveling.
Could you do anything in those? Like, was it a train journey that you had to make?
I had to metro journey, but but I had this in my mind that I have to anyway crack this examination, so I could not that much focus on my college studies and
Hmm.
all.
In the
But
last year.
yeah, in the
So,
last year.
I mean, what I want to know was this two hours morning and evening. Could
Mhm.
you like do something in that, or was this completely lost the time? Because 4 hours
Uh,
a day is a lot. So
Yeah,
like
it was lost, and it was a lot, and like I had no option, but but I had also to. There was a good point too that I had to prepare for Indian economy. So what I used to do is I used to download all the notes of EduSure from in my phone, and I used to read that
read through
in
those.
while commuting.
Okay.
So
So you used it for a bit of reading time, but I'm sure
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
very convenient. And I know Calcutta and I know the metro and everything. It's not
um,
convenient at all. But
yeah,
so that's a great lesson, Orko, for
yeah,
a lot of people because time is something that everybody struggles with. So along
yeah.
with
Like
having to do your college, along with having to do your preparations, along with you attending classes, self-prep, you are spending 4 hours every day on the road. So that is
yeah.
a great lesson for people who don't have to spend it, but still keep cribbing that there is no time and there is no time.
Yeah, so that's a lesson I learned. Like, that is a good advice for all the students also. Like, everyone has different,
Different personals.
different things on their plate. So you need to adjust and all instead of complaining and all.
Yeah. So, I mean, did your mindset help? Like, were you very focused that no, I have to crack IIT? So that
Yeah,
kind of made sure that you didn't let this get in the way because anybody, I meet a lot of people who like, ma'am, if college exams here, I don't know if I can manage. Let me take a drop here. And I tell them why. You don't
yeah,
have to. This is not as tough as your a UPSC or a JEE. You should not be taking a
exactly,
drop here.
exactly,
You
exactly,
can manage it
exactly.
with your current schedule
Yeah,
also. It's just that 6 months of additional hard work or 6 months of
exactly.
discipline. That's all it requires.
Exactly. That's the thing students need to, learn because coming here, I've seen the smartest students, they work hard a lot. Like they work like they what they did for JE is nothing that we prepare for jams and all.
Yeah.
So it's comparatively easy
Yeah.
for us, and which is just all about mindset
Hmm.
and focus and
Yeah.
consistency. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, that is true because we've not been through that grind that these people
Yeah.
have gone through.
Yes.
We
Yes.
crack,
Exactly.
maybe to crack a CAT, maybe to crack a JEE, maybe to crack an
Exactly.
IIS. We haven't,
Exactly.
it's not that tough. Like our
It's
entrances are
not that
not,
tough.
they are
Exactly.
not
Exactly.
that tough. We
Yes.
don't have that much competition. So,
Yes.
you can't have like so easy also that you don't have to do anything and,
No, 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 no.
aram
You
say you
have
do
to.
it.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah, yeah.
but a little bit, a 6 months of dedicated work will also, you'll also make it in that also. But if that also you don't want to do, and you want to say that, uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
I
You
have this
should be
trouble and that trouble.
consistent and confident just enough and be focused. That's all is required.
Yeah. So for you, I mean, was there any subject, like you said, maths, you started preparing very early on, from the
Yeah.
second semester only, you started preparing. So was the reason because, you were not very confident of maths, or you thought that because it's IIT, let me, make sure that my math is strong? Uh, what was it? Like what
Yeah.
motivated you to start that early?
Yeah, that early because my math was especially weak. I knew that very well, and I have seen that the JAM and GATE papers, and what I've seen that there's a lot of weightage on mathematics and statistics. So I've kind of wanted to start early with mathematics, especially.
So any book that what did you do? Like how did you start that?
I started particularly with the past papers only. Like sir used to do. I used to follow the classes a lot. So
Okay.
then also like I have to search the internet, the same kind of questions and all. So these days it's not like we have to follow a particular book or something. We
Yeah.
have a lot of libraries and all. So
Yes.
there's no complaints about that where we have to practice and all.
Yeah.
So a lot of bunch of things we just need to get started off with practicing.
Correct. Correct. So again, I think it's a thing of that, you had the will and you didn't, again, the constraint was not, what do I do? What do I not do?
Yeah,
You just started off, whatever you found, however you found it, you just knew that I have to do it. And you
yes,
were on that path,
yes,
not
exactly.
really, so that I think, again, a very big lesson that, you don't have to worry about, is this the
Yeah,
perfect book? Because people keep asking me that, I'm studying from book A, but my friend is suggesting book B. And I tell them, if you can
that's
do book
valid.
A, that's enough.
Yeah, yeah.
concentrate on one book at least. Don't run after that. Only if I do this book will I get into, will I be able to crack the entrance. That's not true. The concepts are there in all books. Little bit
Yes,
variation and little bit difference in the way you explain things. But point is to understand the concept. If you're comfortable with book A, stick with book A. Don't go to book B because
exactly,
your friend is pursuing it.
exactly, exactly.
So that is also something that students really struggle with. Like they're constantly, instead of studying, searching for that, which, where to go, where to study
Yes,
from. And I tell them just any book is fine as
any
long as
book
you
is
are
fine.
getting what the book is saying, as long as you're being able to solve the questions post reading that book.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
post going over how to solve the questions a few times. If you're able, you get the concept, it's enough. But
Yeah,
no,
it's
there,
because like concept to same here, but you need to just understand from
yeah,
anywhere you
yeah.
want.
Yeah, I tell them to take it as a choice that, you have four books, which book is reaching out to you, which book
Uh,
the language of which book you can understand. Go for that
uh,
book. Don't go for the book which is like recommended and, isi book
uh,
se aayega. That does not happen.
yeah,
So that is also a great learning that, you started off and you just started off however, and,
yeah,
you studied that, okay, if I'm weak in maths, then the solution is that I have to
yeah.
do maths. The
That's the
solution is
only
not
solution.
to
I have to do
sit
math.
back that, no, I can't do this now. The solution is to just practice a little more.
Yeah, just everyone is same. The minds are same. You just need to practice. You just
Mm.
need to believe.
That belief is something also very difficult. Like,
That's but yeah.
because you seem like a calm-headed person now that I'm speaking to you. Not everybody has the gift of being calm. So, any tips on how do you keep yourself calm? Like, how do you not give in to the negativity but stay in the positivity? Any tip that you can give in that?
Like it's something has been given to your plate, and you now instead of like watching or like comparing yourself with anyone, like you cannot eat from other one's plate, so that's not gonna finish your food, right? So you can to focus on yourself. So it's not a hard thing to do. You just need to focus on yourself, like you need to identify where I am weak at, and instead of uh, just thinking I am not good at, you just need to get started off and practice. Yeah, you'll be good at some point of time.
Yeah, yeah.
No one is like good at everything. Like you just need to practice. You just need to get started off.
Perfect. And Orgo, another question. I won't take more of your time. But
No, no,
one of
no.
my last questions that I want to ask is that a lot of students are very worried about, uh, like you just mentioned, that uh, completing the syllabus. Some people say that, I'm not good at every topic.
Yeah.
I don't think I can complete the syllabus.
Mhm.
I so any advice that you can give there, because again, students get very worked up on how do I complete the syllabus? How do I make sure everything is done well? In the given time frame. So that is also students. I keep reading messages also in the group that people keep writing that, this part I'm very weak in this, or this I don't think I can complete the syllabus. Any tips and advice on how to keep yourself calm and uh, do the entire syllabus, like any sort of, did you kind of when you were studying, did you kind of make a schedule that, okay, I will finish these topics in this time, or I will do maths in the morning and eco in the evening, or any kind of schedule that you had?
Yeah, for me, like I started very early, as I said, but I used to make notes of the lectures from you and sir, and I used to revise those notes. I used to practice the questions based on those notes, and that helped me a lot, like making a note and all of that, because that's my thing. That's how I'm gonna understand in future. That's how I will be revising from those notes and all. But for the students who are currently like going for jam this year, like the next year 2025,
Mm,
they should start off with the past paper questions, and whatever they see is I have not done this part,
mm,
they should be kind of put some light on that chapter, or
right,
the topic.
right.
That's how
Hmm.
It will be eventually be covered. Like for the students who has time,
Hmm.
they should just need to be consistent.
Hmm.
And for those who are appearing, they just, instead of worrying what would be the exams and question papers,
Hmm.
the only one thing is the day of the exam is just nothing. You just need to solve questions calm-headedly.
Hmm.
But these days, like whatever the days are left, matters a lot. So you just need to count these days too.
Very last question. Sorry, I said last question, but I'm asking for one
No,
more.
no, no, man.
What about
No
mocks?
worries.
Uh,
Yeah. Mocks are really, really helpful. Students to like I remember that I used to take every mocks. There were some days also I could not take mocks, but I used to go back and I have to see. I practice by myself and check the answers.
the
Uh,
live mocks. You used to try and take the live mocks also.
yeah. Live mocks and the practice mocks. All of
Okay.
those are very, very
Everything.
helpful.
Everything you
Everything.
should, because that's what again students are telling me. Can I take
Yeah.
it later? Right now, I'm not prepared. And I was like, you're never going to be prepared. You just have to
Yeah.
start it.
These mocks are really, really helpful. Even there is an exam right now, I guess, Azim Premji.
Yeah.
I took that exam also. It was also it was helpful for me to understand the environment, and also never miss an exam. Like
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
should take as many exams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true. You have to normalize that taking that exam, sitting for those
Yeah.
3 hours, 4 hours
Yeah.
continuously, full concentration. That also needs to get normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Argo. That was a very, very insightful session. And, thank you for taking out the time. And I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
students will benefit from all that you have shared. Thank you so much.
Anything else, ma'am? Like, would you like to know about placements and all?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I told you I
Yeah,
forgot
you
that.
said in
Yes,
the
yes.
beginning. That's how I
Yeah,
remembered.
yeah, yeah. Correct. So, like I said that, I've already interviewed one person for Roorkee, but and that time it was very new. The program was very new, and the placements were like really high. So I just wanted to kind of understand because it's been like a couple of years. The program has settled down. So, and so how about placements? And of course, these years right now, what I've heard from all colleges is a tough time for placements.
Yeah,
You read in
it's
the
a tough
papers
time.
also. Yeah, you read in the papers also that, regular IIM students are not getting placed or getting a salary of 6 lakh rupees or so it's not an easy time. So how has Roorkee's particularly the MSc Economics program, how has that kind of done in the last 3-4 years, like not just last year, but in the last few years, like what's the trend? What can the students expect? Because that's a big question that what is like they don't want like a very good year or a very bad year. We want to know that in general what is going to be what can we expect with a Roorkee, let's say.
So I just want this to make this clear key students who want to go for research or PhD later,
Hmm.
they should target DSE or ISI Delhi because it's far better than IITs, as I know. Like what I have noticed, and I have talked to friends there also. It's going to be really helpful for them in studying in DSC instead of IIT. But coming to IIT, students has to keep in mind that he or she has to hustle a lot. I mean a lot, because placements are there's only one central placement committee, and you have to compete with the BTech computer science students. They're the smartest, and you have to compete with them. Like the the aptitude questions, we have to prepare for not only aptitudes but also any programming language as well as DSA, data structures, algorithms, to compete with them. So it's kind of really hard to crack placements from here, but placements are fairly nice and good.
Yeah, so that I've also heard from a lot of students that you to be able to crack placements, you have to do a lot of self prep. So it's
Yeah,
not just enough to score a good CGPA and
right.
just give a good interview, but you have to learn a lot. Like a lot of programming languages, people learn a lot.
Yeah,
You are saying that to the general aptitude questions, you have to practice.
yeah.
So there's a lot of self prep that is going into being able to crack
Yeah,
the.
yeah. Students need to keep in mind that they need to coming here is not only the only thing,
Hmm.
but they need to hustle a lot. I mean, a lot to
during the
crack the
day.
placements. Yeah,
So you
if,
have to
whether
do
it
your
is off campusing or on campusing, they need to hustle a lot because everyone is hustling over here.
hmm.
There's a
But that
large pool of students,
that
and
environment is also maybe helping you, right? Like to see
it's
these,
great environment.
yeah.
It is a great environment.
Hmm.
Personally, I feel like it's kind of somehow prepares you for the long term.
Hmm.
They make you a hustler,
Hmm.
that you need to hustle a lot,
Hmm.
and it's good
Hmm.
to be hustle at 20s. I believe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that to see how the best of the minds are operating, to see how
Yeah,
much
yeah,
hard work they're putting at. So it kind of normalizes working hard and,
exactly,
putting in
exactly.
your best and working for it every day. So that, like
Yes.
you said, it's a great starting point for your career
Yeah, like
because you,
coming here is, it's
hmm,
like every day. It's your life is good. There are a lot of facilities
hmm,
right here.
hmm,
Your You get a lot of facilities, but at the same point of time, you will get challenged each and every day.
hmm,
You can visit the library and get a sneak peek. Like what are the students are doing? Like
hmm,
like some kind of algorithms are going in their laptops and all. And overall, the environment is really nice. There are a lot of clubs and all you can
hmm.
join for your holistic develop. It's great to be here, to be honest.
And
But at the same point of time, you need to be a hustler.
so do you also get to interact with students of all departments through these
Exactly. That
clubs?
that is that's a great point. We get to interact all of the students through clubs, societies, and all of that. So that is kind of a good thing. Like you gotta know that in the long term, working with the good minds,
Hmm,
what are they studying and all of that.
hmm,
That is also a great thing.
hmm. And is there a lot of like this is the startup culture these days? A lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about
There's a lot of
startups. So there's a
startup
lot of
cultures.
is a lot of startup
It's
culture and people discussing ideas on campus.
Yeah, like in our orientation of economics, we were fairly told that it's like not here, like we not gonna spoon feed you. You need to prepare yourself for yourself.
Mhm.
Like it totally depends on you how you gonna work for, like, yeah, how you gonna, you
What
know
you take out of us.
what you yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there are students who got placements at 30 LPA also from
Mm,
MSc Economics, also at 12 LPA also. Like,
mm,
so it takes, it depends upon your skills and all,
mm.
what you gain or you have.
So any sort and also this problem that is there that students take admission into IIT and then once they get admission into other places they kind of leave because IIT is the first to give you placements, especially
Yeah,
Roorkee and Delhi because they're the first exam, first results come out and then
yeah,
then all the others
that is
happen.
true.
So is the same thing happening? Like do you have like you start with a large batch, then you come to a very small batch by the end of sem one. Did that happen with you all also?
For our like the senior batches, it happened, but for this time, as because IITs kept open their the intakes till the time the other colleges were taking. So we have currently 20 students,
Okay.
but the other our seniors had kind of 15, 11, this
Hmm.
number of students, particularly because most of the people, like 90% of the people going for MSc Economics are interested for research or PhD. And also another factor is the surety of placement, and competition is less in IGID or in DAC, but the competition is a lot higher here. I would definitely suggest to go for other institutes for PhD rather than coming here, and
Hmm.
also for placements. If you want to hustle a lot, as well as gain a good exposure, and you got to be around surrounded by great minds. That's a good point. And you can do well if you want to hustle
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, so if you want to challenge yourself, then IIT is a
Yeah,
good place.
exactly. If you want to challenge yourself, it is a good option.
Yeah.
There's no spoon feeding. There's no surety of placement.
So
It's
there's,
just like you gain skills, you network, you do yourself.
which is pretty much how it is in real life.
Yeah,
It
it
is,
shows you the reality.
yeah.
As in India in the long term as well as abroad, what they are doing in college
Mm.
lives.
So in abroad, usually there's nothing called
There
campus
is
placement.
nothing called campus placement.
Whereas this
That's
is the
what
only
we
thing in
got to
India.
hear. But then, like in our orientation, and student just asks like, "What about placement, sir?" And he was like, "There is nothing called placements in abroad. If
Yeah,
whatsoever you go to Yale or Harvard, there is nothing called placements. It's all about networking and what you can, do."
yeah.
So that's kind of also a good point. It's kind of prepares you, right?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, true, true. All right, Orgo, thank you so much. I really learned a lot. So I really enjoyed talking to you.
Same to
So
you,
thank
ma'am.
you so much. And I wish you all the very best. And I hope you do something with all the hustling and the learning at IIT. And I see
Thank you, ma'am.
you also create something very nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Orgo. Thank you so much.
Nice talking to you.
Same
Thank
here.
you, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.